Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the previous video of this session, we have completed about um, female reproductive part and how pollination occurs, and with the help of different agents of pollination, what should be the structure of the flowers and how they could be easily pollinated. These were completed. Today we are going to learn some of the devices, actually named as processes, called as outbreeding devices, and those devices are such devices which the flowers have adapted to encourage cross pollination and to prevent self pollination. Okay, what happens, majority of the flowering plants are hermaphrodite, or they are producing bisexual flowers. Okay, so bisexual flowers means they will be having both the male and female reproductive parts. Okay, so when the flower is having both male and female reproductive parts, it is the chances, it is increasing the chances that self pollination will be occurring. So to avoid that, because self pollination, continuous self pollination up to few generations may lead to inbreeding depression. Okay, continuous self pollination up to few generations will lead to inbreeding depression, which means reduced biological fitness, or you may also say that it decreasing the chances of survival of the flowering plants. Okay, it is because the same characters are repeatedly transferred generation after generation, so it leads to reduced biological fitness. Okay, so that's why the flowering plants have adopted or developed many devices to discourage self pollination and to encourage cross pollination. So we will learn them one by one. Okay, first of them is termed as dichogamy. Okay, dichogamy refers to no synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity. ओके, जब पोलन रिलीज होता है तब आइदर स्टिग्मा रिसीव करने के लिए मैच्योर नहीं हुआ होता है, या तो फिर इफ द स्टिग्मा इज मैच्योर्ड अर्लियर देन बाय दैट टाइम द पोलन ग्रेन्स विल नॉट बी रिलीज्ड. So there is an unsynchronization between the two processes, between the release of the pollen grains, and between the receptivity of the stigma or maturation of the stigma. So इन दोनों के बीच में टाइम गैप रहता है, या दोनों अलग अलग टाइम पे होते हैं. दैट्स कॉल्ड no synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity. They are not synchronized. These two processes are not synchronized. So that's a kind of device. Second one is heterostyly. It is no synchrony between pollen release and stigma receptivity. Okay, heterostyly, which means the anther and the stigma will be placed at different positions. Okay, anther and stigma at different positions. So this will also ensure that self pollination, the chances of self pollination are decreased. Okay, either the stigma will be so long and the anthers will be so small, stamen will be so small, or they will be placed at different positions. Okay, so this is called heterostyly. The third device is self sterility or self incompatibility. Okay, in this device what happens, it prevents the self pollen from fertilizing the ovule of the same flower. Okay, by inhibiting pollen tube germination. It will inhibit the pollen tube germination in the style. Okay, so though it is of the same species, but still certain mechanism is there which will inhibit the self pollination, and pollen tube will not germinate at all upon reaching the stigma. The last one is declining or unisexuality. This is Simple. This is called as production of unisexual flowers. Okay. When only unisexual flowers will be produced, definitely cross pollination chances will be increasing and self pollination chances will be decreasing. So these are different kinds of methods used by the flowers as an outbreeding device which prevent self pollination and encourage cross pollination. Okay. So the first two methods are to prevent autogamy, and overall we can say that yes, getonogamy as well as autogamy can be prevented, but first two methods are only for autogamy because they are having in the same flower. We are talking about the same flower. Okay. सेम फ्लावर में सिंक्रोनाइजेशन नहीं रहेगा या तो फिर अलग अलग पोजीशन में रखा होगा एंथर एंड स्टिग्मा, देन दैट विल लीड टू क्रॉस pollination of course. So that will be preventing autogamy, but the other two methods can also prevent getonogamy as well. Okay. In several species जैसे कि हो गया हमारा पपाया, so वहाँ पे क्या होता है, मेल एंड फीमेल फ्लावर्स आर प्रोड्यूस्ड एट डिफरेंट प्लांट्स. ओके. एंड this condition will prevent both autogamy and getonogamy in papaya. So yes, these are the outbreeding devices. Now let us move on towards the pollen pistil interaction. What happens if same pollen come or if different pollen comes to the flower? Let us see what happens. There's a continuous dialogue between the pollen grain and the stigma. Okay. And that dialogue is completely chemical method, like hormones से उन लोग का बीच में एक dialogue चलता रहता है continuously, which leads to the pollen pistil interaction. Okay. So as soon as the pollen grain reaches the stigma, so there will be the dialogue will be initiated, and if the pollen grain will be of the same species or compatible type, then only the stigma will receive it and the further processes will carry on. If it is not of the compatible type, then the stigma will not accept it and it will reject the pollen grain. No pollen tube germination will be occurring. Okay, that is only called pollen pistil interaction. So actually there are no guarantee that the transfer of the right pollen will be occurring to the right flower, है ना? Because in most of the cases cross pollination, the bees or the insects are taking it and they do not know whether it is of the same species or of the different species, so they can transfer it anywhere. So if by chance wrong pollens are coming, then the stigma will not allow them to germinate. Okay. So the pistil has the ability to recognize the pollen grains. Okay. If right type of pollen grains are coming, then they are called as compatible pollen grains. If wrong type of pollen grains are coming, then they are called as incompatible pollen grains. Okay. Right type are called as compatible and wrong type pollen grains are called as incompatible pollen grains. If right type is coming, acceptance will be occurring, the stigma will accept it and further processes will be going on. It will promote pollen tube germination. Okay. It will be promoting pollen tube germination. But if wrong type of pollen grain is coming, incompatible is coming, then it will be rejected. Rejection will be occurring and no pollen tube will be germinated. Okay. The pollen tube germination will be inhibited in that case. Okay. As I said, this is happening due to the continuous dialogue between the pollen and the pistil, and that is due to the chemical components of the pollen which interact with the chemical components of the pistil. Okay. Which will lead to the growth of pollen tube if it is of the right type only then. Okay. And the pollen tube, it germinates through the germ pore. Okay. If you guys remember the germ pore which I have taught in the pollen grains formation, and the germ pore is that region where there is the exine layer absent, means the sporopollen is absent. Okay. You can also refer to the previous video of chapter, this chapter only. The first video of this chapter will indicate the germ pore. Okay, so the pollen tube germination occurs through this germ pore, and through the tissues of the stigma and the style, the pollen tube moves downward. Okay, let us make a small diagram to make it clear. So if this is the pistil, and suppose here the pollen grain have come and arrived, so through the germ pore itself, the pollen tube will be emerging. Okay, and that will move up to the ovary through the stigma and then the style. Okay, so also I have taught in that pollen grain video that pollen grains could be of 2-celled stage, or they could be at the 3-cell stage. Okay, so if there is a 2-cell stage pollen grain, which means it will be having a generative cell and a vegetative cell. In that case, the generative cell will divide and form 2 male gametes within the pollen tube while it is growing. Okay, but if it is already a 3-cell stage pollen grain, then what will happen? There will be no division, only the 2 male gametes will be transferred from the stigma to the ovary. Okay, बोथ द केसेस दिस अलग अलग तरीके से हो सकते हैं. अगर 2-cell स्टेज है तो उसको वहाँ पे डिवाइड होना पड़ेगा. द जनरेटिव सेल नीड्स टू डिवाइड बिफोर रीचिंग द ओवरी, बिकॉज 2 male gametes are required to reach the ovary. That's why the generative cell will divide while the pollen tube is growing. And after that, end part में क्या होगा? The pollen tube will reach the ovary region. इधर पहुँचेगा pollen tube, and there the ovules will be there within the ovary. So through the micropylar region, okay, through the micropylar end, the pollen tube will be entering. Okay, and as I told in the structure of the embryo sac that there are synergids which surrounds the egg cell. Those synergids will guide the entry of the pollen tube through the filiform apparatus. Okay, the filiform apparatus will guide the pollen tube inside the synergids, and then the male gametes or the male nucleus will be released inside the ovule to get fertilized with the egg cell. Okay, not only with the egg cell, there are 2 male gametes released, and one will fuse with the egg cell and another will fuse with the central cell. Okay, about which we will be learning, that is called as double fertilization. Okay, so what happens? The knowledge of pollen pistil interaction is utmost necessary, because the knowledge in this area will help the plant breeders to manipulate the pollen pistil interaction, and in even incompatible pollinations they could be able to generate new desired hybrids. Okay, so the knowledge of pollen pistil interaction is important for the plant breeders. Okay, another thing is that artificial hybridization method could be used to do plant breeding to get desired characteristics in the desired plants. In this method, first of all, we choose superior varieties of the parents, and then we do a artificial pollination among them, and this is achieved by 2 different processes. Okay, so let us know what are those processes. Artificial hybridization. To achieve artificial hybridizations, if the flower is a bisexual flower, then what happens? Before the maturation of the anther, we just remove it by cutting them, and that process is called emasculation. In emasculation, the stamens are removed before maturation. Okay, so what will happen? The flower will be remaining only with the female reproductive part, that is the pistil will be there, and then what we will do, after removing the stamen, we will bag the flower so that no other pollen grains could come and pollinate the flower. Okay, so when we will bag it, after that we will wait for maturation of the flower. Okay, the removal of anther is called emasculation, and the process of getting it inside a bag, that's called bagging. Okay, emasculation and bagging is done. After that we wait for the flower to mature, and when the flower become mature, when the stigma become receptible, then what happens, we are having the desired pollen grains. हमें जो desired pollen grains चाहिए, that we need to fertilize or that we need to pollinate them, तो हम उनको उस emasculated flowers के ऊपर dust कर देंगे या sprinkle कर देंगे, and again we will rebag them, ताकि दोबारा से और कोई pollen grain उसके ऊपर ना आके बैठ सके. So in this way we could achieve artificial hybridization in bisexual flowers. Okay, before the maturation only the anthers will be cut down, the stamen will be cut down, and then we will be putting the desired pollen grains on them to achieve the desired type of flowers. This is called artificial hybridization. And if a flower is unisexual, then there is no need to go with the first step. If the flower is unisexual, we can choose any desired female flower and we just need to bag them, because mature होने के पहले उसके ऊपर कोई भी दूसरा pollen grain आके नहीं बैठना चाहिए. Our desired pollen grain should be dusted as and when required. So we will only just bag the unisexual flowers. They do not to be emasculated. They only need to be bagged. Okay. So with these two processes, artificial hybridization could be achieved in flowering plants. Now let us see how the male nucleus which are entering the ovules, they will getting fertilized, and how double fertilization occurs. Okay. Double fertilization. When we look at the structure of the embryo sac, it was a 7-celled 8-nucleate condition. Okay, let us just draw it in a little brief. At the micropylar end, there were 2 synergids having the filiform apparatus, and 1 egg cell was there. At the other end, at the chalazal end, there were 3 antipodal cells, and at the center there were 2 polar nuclei. Okay, which was in the central cell. This is the egg cell. Okay, important to note here that from the micropylar end only the male gametes will be entering through the pollen tube. This part is the micropylar end, the other part is the chalazal end. Okay, so the fusion of male and female gamete is called fertilization, or also named as syngamy. So by the dialogue between the pollen and the pistil, the pollen tube have moved up to the ovules, and now it will be entering the ovule or the embryo sac. Okay, so the filiform apparatus present at the synergids, at the base of the synergids, they will actually guide, they will actually give path to the male gametes to enter into the synergids, and they will enter through one of the synergids. The male gametes, after entering through one of the synergids, one of the male gamete will come to the egg cell, and that will fuse with it to give the result as a zygote. Okay, let's note it here. One of the male gamete, always remember the gametes are haploid. Okay, it will be fusing with the egg cell which is having another haploid nucleus, and it will result in the formation of a zygote which will be a diploid cell. Okay, this is the first kind of fusion occurring here. This is known as syngamy. Another thing happens here, that is the second male gamete. Since the pollen tube carries 2 male gamete, the second male gamete, it will fuse with the 2 polar nuclei of the central cell. Okay, 2 polar nuclei of the central cell were having, they are also having the haploid ploidy, because the nucleus had not yet been fused, so हम उसे diploid नहीं बोल सकते. It is remaining in the n plus n state. Okay, it is not 2n, it is not diploid, but it is remaining in the n plus n state. Okay, and this fusion results in the formation of a primary endosperm nucleus. So what will be its ploidy? It will be 3n or triploid, because 3 haploid nucleus have came together. Okay, in short it is written as PEN. Okay, and this fusion is termed as triple fusion, simply because 3 nucleus are fusing together, so it is called as triple fusion. Okay, so here two types of fusion are occurring. First fusion results in the formation of a zygote, which is exactly the male gamete and female gametes fusing together. Second, the male gamete fuses with the two polar nuclei of the central cell, which results in the formation of a primary endosperm nucleus, also called as PEN, pen. Okay, this is called as triple fusion. So since syngamy and triple fusion both are occurring, then that's why it is known as double fertilization. Okay, after double fertilization, the primary endosperm cell is formed, and that will be developing into the endosperm. Okay, the PEN, it develops into PEC, the primary endosperm cell, and it will become the endosperm at later parts. Okay, and the zygote will further undergo divisions to form the embryo. Okay, and from the embryo the post fertilization structures will be formed, like the seeds and etc., and fruits will be formed. Okay, so this is how double fertilization occurs in the plants. Okay, so the formation of the endosperm together with the zygote is of utmost importance in here, because double fertilization is found to be universal, and it occurs universally among all the angiosperms, and it must occur without any fail to form the viable seeds. Okay, viable seeds are important for producing the next generation of the plants. So definitely double fertilization has its own significance. Like in angiosperms, the growth of the embryo sac, it is stopped after the 7 cell 8 nucleate condition, but as soon as it fertilizes, means if fertilization is completed, then it is providing stimulus to its cell to resume the growth, and the primary endosperm cell is formed afterwards, which is very nutritive tissue, and the endosperm is formed. Okay, the endosperm is having vast amount of cytoplasm within it, which provides nourishment to the developing embryo. Okay, and double fertilization also ensures that the nutritive tissue or the endosperm is formed, and endosperm formation will not be done if fertilization is failing. If fertilization fails for some reasons, then endosperm will not be formed, then definitely there will be no energy. Okay, and that's why the energy will be saved actually, it will not be wasted by the angiosperms if fertilization does not occur. But yes, if fertilization occurs, that will be stored, the energy will be stored to help in the development of the embryo. Okay, so after the fertilization, the events which are occurring after the fertilization goes under the post fertilization events, and the structures related to that are, the main structure is endosperm, then the embryo, and the seed. Okay, these are the three different structures which we are going to study in the next part of this video, and the post fertilization events will be explained in the next.